I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 402.
Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned.
Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. Today, I am going to give you one of my most valuable downloaded podcasts, MVP, because it's been listened to so many times, and it's perfect for the holiday season. I was just listening to it, and I was thinking to myself, I can't do any better than this to impart the message of the holidays and to give you a quote-unquote final exam for the holidays. I thought it was good then, and I think it'll be even better now. So sit back and enjoy yourself, or if you're walking, enjoy your walk. If you're taking a bubble bath like I do sometimes, enjoy that. And if you're driving, enjoy listening. But whatever you do, listen closely and learn something and be open to hearing something new. Enjoy.
Hi, all my dear friends. How are you today? You know, it's a beautiful day here. It's cold. I don't know if it's cold where you are or warm where you are, but what I know for sure is some kind of holiday is coming up for you. I'm pretty sure about that. And what I want to talk about with you today is what I've been talking about with my individual clients and also with my group clients, because as you know, I'm having a group right now and we're working through the holidays together. And just so you know, another class will be opening up again towards the end of January. So if this is something that you're thinking about, it'll be opening up again soon. But what I want to tell you about this with the group especially is that the holidays really do provide a wonderful place to learn. And for those of you who have been listening to my podcast for a while, and you've been learning some of my most basic tools, like planning your joy eats, like eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, like eating between the twos, starting at a -2 and stopping at a +2, when your hunger scale goes from a -10 to a +10, to planning your joy eats, to even knowing what a joy eat is, what a joy eat is for you. And just to reiterate on that, it's just a food that has no nutritious value. So if you decide to you eat it because you really enjoy it and you eat it mindfully and you stop the minute you're done, which I have called the art of a joy eat. And I really want you to think about that as I talk to you today about the holidays and this being your final exam. Because these next 2 weeks that are coming up as I'm speaking to you really is going to provide the best learning ground for you if you use it. So I want you to think about it as you're taking a test. And the way the test is, it's really based on your mindfulness and knowing the tools that I've been teaching you. Can you use them during this holiday season for what you decide to eat and what you decide not to eat? Are you able to make your own commitments to yourself and then stick with them? So if you're going to be taking the final exam, let's just say that the final exam is starting tomorrow and it's going to be like a week or two, because I don't know about you, but for whatever education you've had, many of the exams that I had, final exam week, final exam couple weeks, it went on for a while. That's how I want you to think about this. And I want you to think about part of the exam is what happens every time you sit down to eat. What happens in your mind? And this is what we've really been working on, is to notice what's been going on in your mind. And like I said in the last couple podcasts, is I want to make sure that you don't throw away your mind during the holidays. So if you have listened to that and your mind is still with you, then every time you sit down to eat, you just always ask yourself, the first test question is, how hungry are you and how full are you? And can you put a number to it? And our goals are to eat with a whisper of hunger at a -2 and to stop at a +2, which is a whisper of fullness, knowing that we have a long way to go either way. We can get a lot hungrier and we could eat a lot more. But during this holiday season, what we want our brains to do is we want our brains to stay intact and stay connected to our bodies, so that when we sit down to eat, we just start with the basic question without your mind saying to you, hey, it's the holidays. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to pay attention to your body. We're just not doing that for the next couple weeks. The beginning of this final exam, and that question is, you're still going to ask yourself, no matter what, how hungry am I? How full am I? And you're going to put a number to it. And you're going to become really curious as to what those numbers are. And I'll tell you, as I'm working with clients in both groups and individually, that the people who are willing to look at those numbers, because I will tell you, for some of my clients, it's very difficult to look at those numbers because you just want to beat yourself up if they're not the twos. But what I have to share with you is this. It even doesn't matter if it's not the twos. You're just trying to figure out, where are you? And the more you know where you are, the more you know where you want to go. When you know where you are and you don't use it as any type of punishment, that's when you can become curious. Like, for instance, let's say you're sitting down to a meal and there's a lot of people, which is a possibility, but not a strong possibility at this point in time in our lives, that there are a lot of people. But still, you're going to maybe be with people that you aren't with normally. Maybe it's a Zoom call. I don't know. But let's just say whatever it is, it involves food that maybe is not something that you eat all the time. Maybe it's not your normal fuel food. A lot of the times we know about this way ahead of time and we can plan for it. And I talk a lot about the art of a joy eat, the planning of a joy eat, and the enjoyment of a joy eat. And I want you to be mindful that when you're sitting down and those foods are in front of you, that number one, you have put some planning into it so that you make your decision. You already know if you're going to eat it or not, which is just a beautiful thing, because when you plan a joy eat, there are no urges. They go away. And what I find from my clients that's so interesting about this is that when they plan, many times because they don't have an urge, they also don't want to eat the joy food anymore. And I've had my clients say, hey, you're taking the fun out of it, as if the urge is what was the fun, right? This feeling inside of you of needing or wanting to eat something, as opposed to deliberately deciding ahead of time that you're going to eat it. The more you get rid of urges, the more you get to actually enjoy one of these foods, a joy eat that has absolutely no nutritious value. You're just enjoying every bite and you're stopping the minute you're done. Whatever it is during the holidays, whatever it is for you. If it's your sister's favorite cookies, I had one of my clients tell me one year that her sister only bakes cookies for 3 weeks during the holidays and therefore she has to eat them. What do you tell yourself about these foods? What kind of stories do you make up in your head that creates urges around these foods? Because here's the truth. This is what she ended up realizing. Her sister bakes cookies. That's true. 3 weeks of the year. That doesn't mean she has to eat them every day. It doesn't mean that the end has come, that if she doesn't do it now, she'll never get it again. She gets to think on purpose when she wants to eat them and when she doesn't. Knowing, of course, she can eat it if she wants. Does she have to eat it every day for 3 weeks just because they're there, just because somebody's making? Or are we going to believe something that's going to create this weird feeling in our body that's going to make our mouths drool and want something just because we're thinking it? That's why we don't want to lose our mind during the holidays. We want to know what we're thinking. And we want to think on purpose. And what I told you is something that's really beautiful to think about any food that maybe you don't see as often any other time of the year, but during this time. That's why this is the final test. This is why this is your final exam, because we're going to see if you learned this concept, right? Just because the food is there, don't let your mind scare you. I'm never going to get it again. She's not going to make it again. She only does it during this time. The chocolate's only around. I had one of my clients say today, it's only made during this time of the year. And we have these urges inside of us to think we have to eat it. And we don't. It's not the end of the world. You can have it or not have it. You can plan it and you can make a decision. And if it's not planned, all you have to do is tell yourself, well, hey, sweetheart, if you really want it, we'll plan it for tomorrow. The more we plan these types of foods, the urges become less. And what we're trying to do is create less urges by using our minds intentionally. That's part of the final exam, is deciding how we're going to do a joy eat, recognizing the urges that we have. And I've talked a lot about urges in terms of what those feel like, that those are part of the emotional hunger scale, the negative emotional hunger scale. The stronger the urge, the more negative the emotion. So an urge can go from a -10 in emotional hunger to a 0, which is neutral. And what I've told you in the past is that when you're a -5 to a 0, you have the best opportunity to be able to let those urges just go through you without putting something in your mouth. This is part of the final exam. Do you know the strength of your urge? Do you know the strength of your emotional hunger when it's negative? Can you put a number to it? Just like, can you put a number to your physical hunger scale? So now in the final exam of all of these meals where maybe the food that you see all the time isn't the same or the people aren't the same, but the thoughts are what you're looking at. That's part of the final exam. Do your thoughts change during the holidays that create stronger urges? This would be part of the final exam that you would really want to pass this time, is to realize that it's not the food that creates the urge. It's your brain that creates the urge about the food, and that you are totally in control of what you want that brain to think. So when you're sitting down, now you know where your emotional hunger scale is. That's part of the final exam. Now you know where your physical hunger scale is before and after. That's part of this exam. You know if you've planned your joy eats or not. And more than that, when you have a joy eat and it's not planned, then what do you do? Part of the final exam for that is the last thing you want to do is beat yourself up, because what do we want to do more than anything else in this final exam of the holidays? We want to have self-compassion, and we want to become curious as to what happened. So we don't just push it under and say, okay, we're going to start tomorrow. We learn from what we did. We learned why we did it. We learned if our brain told us something. Maybe we thought it was a trick question. Well, I really thought I'm never going to get it again. It's just a thought that you had. You're going to catch it. And when you can catch it, then you can learn and move on. One of the things I've talked about in the podcast over the years is become curious, not furious, right? You don't beat yourself up. You become curious when you do something that you didn't plan. That is how you learn. The clients in my groups and my individual clients, they learn the most when they are willing to look at what they don't want to look at. That's where all the learning is. If you did everything perfectly all the time, what would you learn? Why would you even be doing the work? The idea is that when you don't, you learn and you move on. Best gift you're ever going to learn from yourself is how to look at what happened, learn about it, become curious, and move on. And last but not least in this final exam is the whole concept of what do you do when you have all of this food on your plate and your body, you check in with your body. It says it's full. It's got that light whisper at a +2, and there's still all this food on your plate. It looks really good, your brain says, and there's so much of it. Now, in the final exam, you're going to remember, because we've talked a lot about it over the year, is that you either waste it, waste, and put it in the garbage can or put it away in the refrigerator, whatever it is, it doesn't go into your body, or you waste it, waist, which means you eat everything on your plate because you believe a thought that you should. Maybe you're trying to save all the starving children that are everywhere. And I don't want to take that lightly, but we can't take care of starving children by putting food that our body doesn't need inside of our bodies, because all that does is waist. We waste it. We just put it on our waist, and the children do not benefit at all. It's so strange what our brains tell us. Part of the final exam is having the mindfulness of knowing what is going on in your mind. If you want to find out all the funny thoughts, and I call them funny because sometimes we are very funny with the things that we think, the holidays will bring them all up, from your sister's cookies to all the food on your plate to, oh, I'll just have a bite or two, or I'm just going to try it. And then it leads to 20 cookies. We're going to start looking at this. The holidays will bring it all up for you. The way you get an A+ on your final exam is not by doing everything right, but by being aware of everything and learning and becoming curious and becoming compassionate with yourself. That's the way to the final exam of the holidays. The better you get at the holidays, the better you get with vacations whenever they come back, the better you get with celebrations, the better you get with all the things that your brain says, this is a time to check out. There is no time to check out. You want to learn how to check inside yourself and stay inside of yourself. The holidays are the perfect time. So I want to invite you to do just that. Pretend you're taking the Thinner Peace final exam as you go through these next couple of weeks. And let me know. I want to hear from you guys. Tell me what's going on for you. Did you pass? Are you curious? Are you aware? And if you are, I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you an A+. And of course, as we're gearing through the holidays, also be aware of that tool of compassion and gratitude and appreciation, because those are thoughts that are created in the mind too. And there's no better time to use them than now, and to practice them, because that can be part of the final exam too. The more you practice thoughts that create those feelings, the more you feel those feelings. I can't think of a better time than now. So listen, no matter what else you do during this week or on this day with what I've talked about, you know what I'm going to say. Please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. Enjoy the holidays, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.